You must be aware of the fact that the Canadian population is getting older. On one hand, people are living longer, women are having fewer children than before. So Canada wants more people to compensate for its aging population. In 2016, a government report was published proposing a goal of reaching a population of 100 million by the year 2100. That is almost tripling the current population of 38 million. This is why Canada has one of the most ambitious immigration programs in the world. For example, in 2022, it welcomed more than 437,000 new immigrants, the highest number in 1 year in Canada's history. So the questions are, why Canada really wants 100 million people? And have we stopped to think, why is it not sustainable to continue to welcome so many immigrants? Let's discuss. But first, you know the drill. Make sure to hit like, share, subscribe, and that bell icon. It gets me motivated to keep you up to date with everything real estate. Hi and hello, and thank you so much for tuning in. And if you are new, welcome to my channel. My name is Preeti Rao, and I am both a real estate and a mortgage broker for close to 20 years. So in addition to needing new labor to replace those who are retiring and to compensate for the low number of new babies being born, Canada wants to attract a million more immigrants because it wants to populate in the long term. See, one of the government's objectives in welcoming so many immigrants is actually trying to populate Canada's north to take advantage of the economic, tourism, and the commercial potential of that region. However, there is a key reason to think that it will not be able to sustain the pace of immigrants that are arriving annually to the country. The reason is the following. Most immigrants do not choose to live in Canada's cold, uninhabited north. They choose the south, where the majority of the population lives. So it is to be expected that new immigrants will arrive where there are job opportunities, better quality of life, and where they have some connection. That is in cities like Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. And this presents a problem because there is not enough housing to provide for so many incoming immigrants. And this is currently causing the housing rents to raise to levels that exceed what most immigrants can actually afford. An estimated 1/3 of immigrants settle in Toronto, the country's largest metropolitan area with 6.2 million residents. An annual rent increase in that city ranges anywhere from 10 to 25%. And the revealing fact is that for every 2 immigrants who arrive in Toronto, at least 1 leaves the city due to the high cost of housing and the scarce supply. According to Craig Rutten, Director of Policy at the Toronto Board of Trade, strong demand from immigrants caused the vacancy rate to drop to 1.9%, the lowest in 21 years. But the increase in rental prices is not only due to the massive influx of immigrants. When the pandemic began, central banks around the world lowered their reference interest rates, meaning that borrowing money became very cheap. So people began to take on debt to buy homes. Even high-income families bought their second and their third properties on the suburbs to escape the lockdown. All this caused housing prices to skyrocket in most cities all over the world. Come 2023, housing prices began to fall. However, there is another problem, and that is due to high inflation rates. The Canadian Central Bank quickly raised its interest rates to 4.5%, the highest in the last 15 years. Consequently, the cost of borrowing to buy a property has also increased, which continues to make home ownership unaffordable for many Canadians, and this forces them to stay longer paying rent rather than buying their own home. So the high number of immigrants arriving annually is putting a pressure on the rental prices, and the high interest rates for borrowing is forcing Canadians who wanted to buy to stay longer in a rental market, which puts even more pressure on rising prices. Due to this situation, the Canadian government issued a law in the early of 2023 that banned foreigners from buying residential properties in the country for 2 years, which is now extended till 2027. And those who violate the law can face a fine up to $10,000. The idea is that by banning foreigners from buying housing, demand will decrease and therefore prices will decrease. Well, let's face it, it has had no effect on prices because foreign owners do not represent a significant share of real estate transactions at all. At least not enough to make a difference in the market. Let's take the province of British Columbia. Only 1.1% of home sales involved a foreign buyer. Even in BC, they have already tried to discourage non-Canadians from buying homes by imposing an additional 20% tax. However, prices have not stopped rising. The real solution actually lies in increasing the supply of housing, period, which means building more homes. So if Canada wants to attract millions of immigrants, it's fine. It would have to be consistent and create laws not to restrict demand, but to increase the supply of housing. This is to promote new construction units. However, this is an extremely complex issue because there are restrictive zoning regulations in large cities that limit construction. But if the problem is not addressed, new immigrants will not be able to afford the rising cost of housing and will end up leaving the country or living like rats in someone else's basement. Tell me what you think, and if you still don't know who I am, just go check my rating on Google and read my client reviews. Till then, take care. And if you found value or liked this video and would like to see more content, then click on the boxes on the screen. Once again, my name is Preeti Rao. My contact information is in the description box below. Make sure to hit like, share, subscribe and the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to call me because I hold the key that opens the door to your dream home.